Welcome everybody to Puma Exploration's webinar. We're very excited to have you here today. It's been a while since we've done a webinar and there's been quite a bit of developments with the company. So I have here Marcel Robillard, President and CEO of Puma Exploration, to give you a little bit of an update and answer any questions that you may have. So throughout the presentation, please feel free to fill in your questions in the Q&A. I'll be going through them at the end of the presentation, and there'll be some time left over and dedicated to actually answering your questions. So without any further ado, I'll pass it on to Marcel.
Merci beaucoup, Mia. Thank you very much, Mia. Really appreciate the opportunities to be able to explain a little bit field work during the summertime. So basically, the webinar today is to explain a little bit the type or the kind of work done during the summer 2022, with also an overview of the entire project for the people that they don't know the story yet neither. So what I'll do is to get through the presentation, as Mia said, and at the end, if you have any question, let me know. We'll do the best to answer. So first cautionary statement to begin. Basically, that shows that, there's some forward-looking statement that you can read, but also they are available on the website. So for the one not too much familiar with Puma's William Brooks project in New Brunswick, this is one of the best locations that we can get. We see here the location of what we call the William Brooks project, which include the William Brooks properties, the John Paul properties, and the Portage. And for the one that they have received this morning news, we just had more claims, more property, northern here in that area to secure more prospective land. So basically, why New Brunswick? We have been working in New Brunswick for the last 15 years or so, basically on the VMS base metal project that we're looking for at the time. Since 2019, we have moved from base metal to look for gold, specifically in the underexplored part of the Bathurst camp. So location is one of the best place, great place to do exploration. As you can see here, paved road, national paved road crossing the property. This is 100% Puma. So back in 2021, in December, we have made all the payment, everything, the option agreement was done to be able to have the 100% of ownership of the play. So really, really well located, only 30 kilometers away from St. Quentin. That's where we have our own office, car shack, but also the government regional office. So that's about a 30 minutes drive on paved road to get to the drilling site as we are. Also, Bathurst is one of the biggest city in northern New Brunswick. We have access to airport, but also Deepwater Seaport in the really great friendly region to do exploration. So location, one of the best place, and also the reason is the gold potential. So gold potential has been really looked for, as I said, base metal for the last 15 years, but all the new discovery, a little bit more discovery and really great gold play defined and explored since 2019 in Newfoundland, that gave us the idea to look a little bit more in details for gold into New Brunswick. So that is the same kind of rock, same age, associate with the Crystal Fault, that it goes from Newfoundland up to Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. So one of the big player in New Brunswick for gold is Galloway's Metal with their Clarence Stream gold play at the southern part of the province. So what we have work and what we have in hand is what we call a potentially new gold camp, which include not only the William Brooks property, but also other play that we have, the Portage and the John Paul gold property, that they all, both of them, hold 100% by Puma. So basically, Puma has been concentrate all the work since 2019, where we did the acquisition into the William Brooks, most of it on what we call now the Lang zone, gold zone. So that area has been the focus for Puma for the last 2 years, where we apply our discovery method or model is to get really boot on grounds, get as much data as we can, and then do from grassroots exploration to development. So if you can see here, this other two main area, which is the Cougar and the Jaguar Gold Zone, were only worked a little bit in 2008 by a previous operator. And this year, that's the first time that Puma did the kind of the real work, similar work done at Lang Zone, that we have applied the discovery model on the Cougar and the Jaguar Gold Zone. So that is part from the 2022 field program conduct on the William Brook project. So what it brought, to give you a little bit idea of everything done, for sure we get a lot of grab sample. One of the big upside of New Brunswick, but mainly our play is to have access to the hard rock. So it's really easy to do a bit of trenching and stripping to uncover, the rock itself. So instead of having just, let's say, a 2 inches hole, we have access to, let's say, 100 meters by about 700 meters long stripping area. So when it's all stripped, it's a lot easier to locate which is high-grade gold, lower-grade gold, what kind of rock, and then we use that technique to be more efficient on the drilling program. So we drill once we know that we're going to hit something. So basically 7,000 grab sample, a little more than 30,000 hectares of PTEM, MAG, and radiometric survey, or early-born survey done in 2021, 5,000 meters of trenching and stripping, and we just have announced in August or September our 10,000 meters of drilling that we have announced the result lately. So I'm going to go through those information, those news, and show a little bit more where we plan to go. So what is Puma itself? It's we have developed a strategy mainly focused on the Lang Zone, a kind of a growth path from the acquisition to grassroots exploration, discovery, and then the ongoing expansion. So the focus of Puma is really the Lang's Gold Zone. You can see it here. So the acquisition was done in 2019. We did exploration, grassroots exploration in 2020-21. So basically over 2 years that we've done some surface sampling, stripping, and understanding a little bit more the geology. And then we did the discovery in 2021. And since then, we're doing the ongoing expansion. What we call by ongoing expansion is make sure it's getting bigger in size, that we have a more control on the mineralization, better control on the recovery, and turn it into a golden ground as soon as possible. So that is possible because we have a handful of great area into the property level, but also on the campsite. So basically what we try to do as a strategy for development is to get from already what we have in hand, doing our own work, using our own expertise, make a discovery, and really be a characterization or a resource updated. So since 2021, we did the acquisition of also the other play into the property. What we plan here and what is the objective is in 2022, be able to bring one more zone, which is probably the Cougar Gold Zone or the Jaguar Gold Zone, into the discovery and the resource or characterization of the mineralization. So everything is from start to golden ground. So that's all based on what we've done since 2019 and 20, is to get as much data, accurate data, brand new data, apply the field work over those data and targets, and then find out golden ground. So it's always the value creation from data collection to golden ground. That's the discovery model that we want to apply. This is exactly what we want to do, and that's the strategy for 2022, the end of the year, which is going to be mostly surface exploration. As long as there's no snow on ground, there's too much upside and good thing to find out at surface before going drilling. So if you look a little bit, this is a little bit more details, the different steps. If we go back in 2021, we did the surface sampling. So as it's possible to do trenching and stripping, having access to the real rock. So the goal here is to get as much as possible grab sample from surface. So we took over 5,000 sample in length, 7,000 everywhere. And on the grade, we come up with very, very high grade zone at surface. So 700 meters long, there's some little area that has not been able to be stripped because they were a little bit too much overburdened. So that discovery was made in 2021 with the first grab sample, which lead to the discovery hole number 2, which we got the 5 grams over 50 meters right from surface. So this is exactly, the discovery tool that we would like to apply somewhere else within the William Brook project to be able to increase the resources at the plate. So the news that we get out on the 29th, this is the last news we got on the drilling. So basically what we have been able to prove up is from the right side, this is all the surface zone, the grab sample taking and collected at surface, and then we drill those area and we come up with very significant, very high grade zone, like 34 grams over 3 meters. There are some others like 28 over 2, 44, 46 gram per ton over almost 4 meters. This is the last hole. So that's point out really the drilling that we've been able to confirm is there at least 3 zones of higher grade. So the systematic drilling be able to locate those high grade zones before going drill at depth. Because basically what we have been able to define is a surface supergene gold enrichment that you can see here. It's modeled in 3D. This is coming from all the data that we got from the drilling just drilled, the 10,000 meters of drilling that has been mapped. And within it, we see the 3D models of the gold mineralization. So one of the objectives of that drilling program was to make sure we've been able to locate some high-grade shoot. For sure, we cannot say shoot yet because it's not a mine, but what I'm calling a shoot is those high-grade tube or any kind of high-grade area that they can be followed at depth. So as long as we have not drilled systematic, because all the gold and all the mineralization over the entire 700 meter is similar, it's pretty hard to do visually if there's gold or not. So we did systematic drilling to be able to confirm and identify some kind of a potential ore shoot. So that is a real big success because those high-grade zones are extending probably at depth, which are not drilled yet. So it's all open everywhere that you can see the depth extension. It's open at depth and also a cross section. So if you do a section right here, you see on the other side that it's still open at depth. Those areas never been drilled. So all the data are in-house and we use also external consultant, but the main target will be done in-house with our expert, the company and the consultant that have been working with us. They're going to help us only to define and help on identifying those high-grade shoots. So that was a real big success, very high grade. And also there is some gold almost in every hole up to 0.1 and up to over 10 grams. So really successful drilling program. So we have been able to define that zone. It's open along strike and also at depth. Right now, we're waiting to get the final 3D interpret of those ore shoots to launch our additional drilling program, which is going to target deeper than 100 meters. Because the first 100 meters from surface to 100 meters are pretty well drilled. We have some zone to extend the zone at surface, but the next step will be to drill between 100 and 250 and try to follow those high-grade zones. So there's really 2 kind of mineralization gold that we see on at the Langs gold zone, which is the first supergene gold mineralization. So it's within like limonite alteration, pretty distinct alteration, and with a little speck of VG. When we're lucky, we find those also at grab sample, but we find some also at in drilling. So this is one particular type of mineralization. The second one is really what we call the high-grade gold vein, which is between 2 meters and 4 meters. These 2 holes are about 200 meters apart. So we know that there's many of those. So the drilling have identified some of those veins that will be followed at depth. So you see here, 46 gram over almost 4 meters was drilled only at 50 meters. And this one was about 20 meters. So really surface zone, try to follow those high grade vein at depth, and that will be the target of the next drilling program at the length zone. So if we look the news that we just got out last week, which is the exploration program. So having that in mind, I just want to make sure that we understand the length gold zone is the focus. This is really what we're going to put all the effort. The most part of the budget is directed on the length gold zone, but also as we have 40,000 hectares property, we have really, really great, zone or other area that wanted to get some work done. And this is what we have done since June. So since June, what we have done is for sure, we have finalized the 10,000 meters of drilling on the length gold zone. We have also drilled 8 holes on HQ size, which is a little bit bigger size, to get a met test, recovery test, which going to be the next part of the work, is to define a little bit or characterize the gold mineralization at the length gold zone. But also we did a little bit of trenching, stripping on the Cougar and the Jaguar gold zone, and also elsewhere over the more prospective area. So adding to that, there were some areas, just new claim stake, which is a soil anomaly that we're going to have. We have done soil survey, also a soil survey and mag. So since June, July, and August, and September, in 4 months, we have done up to about, let's say, 6,000 meters of trenching. We have about like 4,000 sample of soil sample, mag survey, and a lot of trenching and stripping also on the length gold zone. So this is what, with all the information collected, everything in hand, we know that the Rocky Brook Menstrual Fault is one of the major structure for gold mineralization, the control, which is also extending up to, that's not the same name, but the similar fault, crustal fault are extending up to Newfoundland and Ireland as well. So those are one of the control for the mineralization. So that's a little bit the reason why you have seen this morning, for the people who saw it. So we still really active on looking new opportunities. So this is the William Brook project. It's located between 2 major faults. That is the Rocky Brook Menstrual Fault, where you have different kind of gold mineralization. Canadian Metal just come up early this summer with 500 grams gold grab sample right there. Canadian Metal again, 90 grams gold here. There's the company with almost 300,000 ounces of gold and fern indicated in that part. And last week, company Gold Terra come up with again a really great trenching of 3.5, almost 3.5 grams gold over 16 meters in channel at surface. So that is the reason why Puma, we just acquire a little bit more than 7,000 hectares in that area. As you can see, it's covered the major fault, the subsidiary fault, and with a little bit of gold showing surrounding the play. So that play has been staked. So there's no deal, there's no fees, no commission, and it's really a strategic acquisition, which is part of our 3 to 4 years model, is get from new acquisition, grassroots exploration, discovery, and then characterize the gold in it. So we always want to have in hand those kind of 2-3 step part within our exploration strategy. So, but we use only about 10% of the budget on the other play, which is that new acquisition and also the John Paul and Portage. And we really focus on the length gold zone, but we always want to have something new that it can come in line. So that is totally part of the strategy, get some more ground, but you won't see any field work this fall on it. It's really strategic acquisition. We're going to do compilation. And once the compilation will be done during the winter time, we're going to add it and compare and rank it over first the priority and the property, but also within the entire project. So that is what we announced today, is brand new claim in the area. So if we look a little bit more, what is now coming, what is the next step? As I said, 2022 and 23 is the ongoing expansion of the Langs Gold Zone. First is since about a week or so, we have brought an excavator on site because as it's open in all directions, we're going to extend a little bit the surface zone at Langs. And the most important and exciting part will be the metallurgical test on it, because if we want to characterize a zone, see what would be, let's say, in the future, the cutoff grade of it and what would be the recovery, this is the first step to be done, is getting a flow sheet, a detailed flow sheet about how to recover the gold from it. Because now, so far, we know there's a lot of gold at surface. It's all located at surface, up to 50 meters. We have a zone up to 100 meters. Now we need to see, before going too far, how much we can recover from that gold from it. So that will be the next step. It's currently done. You're going to have more details on that test once we're going to know exactly the size of it. So far, we know there's 8 holes drawn for 100 meters right at surface. And also, we're going to identify the drilling target with the 3D structural analysis, with some geostatistic on the assays from the gold into the drilling program. And, you know, the test will come probably at the beginning of next year. We are waiting about probably 3 months before getting the mid test. So that is, you know, the focus is the Lang zone. But as I said, if we want to have a growth strategy, is to explore what is the best opportunities at every level. I'm talking about camp scale. This is what we've done. The new property within the potentially new camp, gold camp. Also on the property wide is to locate using some artificial intelligence and some other targeting tool, but also mainly based on our own geologists and experience built since 2019, the best area to be worked, which could bring more resources to details. So basically, in the last year, we've done early, you know, work on the Cougar and the Cougar and Jaguar gold zone, which is going to be, you know, probably the one that you're going to receive the result next. So basically, what we want to do is to bring one of those two zone into the we call it, you know, golden ground confirmation. This is what it is. So basically bringing from regional to property wide and then getting to the real characterization at surface. So on that side, then we're going to have the mainly define the drilling targets at Jaguar and Cougar gold zone, pending about the result we're going to get from those. So we've done the same discovery method as for Langs, getting as much grab sample as we can, because now we know those grab sample are really similar to the one we're going to drill. So we take as much as we can. So far, that Jaguar is about 200 meters long by about 100 meters wide. So this is a really nice stripping area. We took a lot of assays, which should come pretty soon. So results are pending. Also results are pending on the Cougar, and we have also some results to come on the property wide. And also, you know, what we're going to do is get all that information up to Christmas, get the compilation done, and also put some priority on the main portfolio. So that will be done up to Christmas. What we hope is to get, you know, as long as possible, the ground without snow, to be able to take as much sample as we can, then finalize the completion and drill deeper and the new opportunities as well. So just to give you an example of what has been done during the summertime, that is the main area that has been worked lately, the Langs gold zone. At the beginning, you know, they had different names, all the different showing. Now is the entire Langs gold zone in one good big zone of 700 meters wide by about 100 meters, long by 100 meters wide, up to about 100 meters. This is still open. So during the summertime, we did some trenches also on this side and that side. the results will come shortly as well once we're going to have those. And also on the entire package, to give you an example about the size of it, we have the Langs Gold Zone right here. 4 kilometers away, we've got the Cougar Gold Zone, so you can see there's a bit of work done. And finally, the Jaguar Gold Zone, which is another 1 kilometer. So we have about, 3 gold zone now defined within about 5 kilometers, but it's all part of what we call the flagship, the William Brook gold project. So if we, why we've been working a little bit this area, an example of kind of the artificial intelligence software. We use Mira, but we use also cards, geotech, windfall geotech that they're going to also help on targeting. These are just tools to be had on what we have done since 2019 is locate the best place to do trenching and stripping. So the red here is not a mag survey, is really what is the best potential area. So because we went from a 40,000 hectare, now what we want to do is to narrow that to, a small area to really have the best, success rate in doing the exploration. So the red, that little circle there is 700 meters long. This is where we drilled 10,000 meters. This is all verbal reason on the other side as well. All the red here, but also, as you can see, there's the Jaguar and the Cougar Gold Zone, which fall right through the red. So during the summertime, the backhoe, we had 2 teams full-time since June doing with an excavator, doing some trenching and stripping. During the weekend, the 2 teams were doing some prospecting to find the next zone to be trenches. So we always try to do grassroots, boots on ground, real geology. Then when you find something, trenching and stripping. And once we do trenching and stripping, if the results are good, then we do the drilling. So this is exactly what we have tried to do during the summertime. And I think we have got really nice success. And I'll going to be able to share those success in the really short term with the news flow that's going to come up to probably Christmas. So once again, that show a bit, if we go back a little bit, this is the size of the project. We had the William Brook, so those areas have been worked really detailed, the Langs Gold Zone, and those are the Cougar and the Jaguar. That's you're gonna hear shortly. And then the John Paul and the Portage has not been worked. We have enough work credit on it, and we don't want to go everywhere. Work concentrate on the Langs Gold Zone with some extent to try the extension, but probably some parallel structure. And then, a part of the budget will be on John Paul and also the Portage. But as we speak, there's work credit for the next few years, so it's not the main priority for Puma. So once I was talking about the new acquisition to rank those into the entire project level, that will be compared with also the John Paul and the Portage. Just a quick word on who we are. I'm PGO, CEO of the company since about 2009. I used to be geologist. Dominique Gagné is my best man on site. He's really doing all the work, the planning, but also executing the work. Laura, Jacques, Michel, Régent, and Rick Thibault are the board members. 2 of them are coming directly from New Brunswick. And Laura, she's also coming from New Brunswick. So that's a little bit the team on site. And this is a view about what has been done, but what it's looked like today. So, it's really a really nice surface work. There's one of the best places to do exploration, a lot of gold at surface. Now, what needs to be done is to characterize the gold that we found. And now, then we're going to probably proceed with a bulk sample next year to really evaluate what would be the grade of it, because the nugget effect, sometimes, a hole can hit or just miss, but we're going to need to get a bigger sample to know the real grades of potentially a mine there. So this is it. I know that it was maybe fast. I was trying to get some people having some question. So I don't know. Do you have some question? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Marcel. So yes, there is one question specifically on the 3D modeling of the link zone. So we can go back to that slide if you'd like. The question was, do the 3 high-grade chutes or cylinders plunge to the southwest? I guess those 3 areas. Is their surface expression characterized by the northwest southeast large vein sets? And are they associated with the northwest southeast volcanic faults?
Okay, so basically, if you look here, the location of that longitudinal, it goes like this. So what we see here, so if we see the chute are going towards almost, towards the west, mostly on that direction in here. So if you look this way, so it's really towards the west, almost perpendicular to the main contact zone here, a little bit different. So, but as I said, it's hard because if you look those chutes there, right now, we're gonna identify a little bit more the length of it because there's a lot of vein in each hole. We have about, let's say, 20 to 30 like small veins up to 1 centimeters to up to 2-3 meters. And now it's a little bit hard as we speak to really see the continuity of those veins without, getting more information. So as we just get out the numbers, because I know there's people who are impatient to get some result, we get up the result and also the 3D model. And now we're working to identify those high-grade veins to be followed. So if we look that, we see that those sand volcanic faults seems to have played a major role into the deposition system, but it's too early now to know it because we just have drilled 10,000 meters and every hole is only 100 meters. So the real objective of the program was to make sure we have those high-grade chute or corridor or pencil, and the answer is yes. So now we have to study a little bit more those structural features to before drilling the depth extension of the veins. I don't know if I answer all the questions. So do you have anything else to reply to that, Mia?
Yes, no, I think it's good. I think you've covered it. Yes, still early days, and we'll try to characterize it a little bit more as we continue on doing our work. Another question came in. The Lynx Gold Zone is interpreted to be a mineralized felsic dome.
Yeah.
Has our summer work to the southwest and northeast, so the extensions, Moose Extension, etc., found other felsic domes? And do the Cougar and Jaguar zones have similarities to the Link zone?
Yes. The answer, if I can go where I can have something to show, because I might doesn't have a map here. Okay, that's good here. So, well, no, not too much, because I see the big thing here. Let's say that what we call a felsic dome is right here. We know that along the trend here, the 3 kilometers on north and on south, the potential to have additional felsic dome are there. And the answer is yes, we have found some, but they're going to be mentioned in a few next news release when we're going to control the entire information, because we just have conduct stripping. We know those are related to felsic, but we don't have the size of those yet. So we're still trenching as we speak. When I was mentioning that we have backhoe on site and we're going to do as much up to the end of maybe not the December, but let's say mid-December before the snow. This is exactly the target. But I doubt, I really doubt, and it would be almost impossible. It's not to have one felsic dome over that length. What we believe is we're going to have multiple, like 700 meters long dome along that zone, along that contact between the high mag and low mag. So it would be really doubtful to have that all the way through, but it's going to be something a little bit similar to, let's say, Marathon, where you might have few domes along, it's not the domes, they have some pit, but mineralization zone along 10 kilometers. So that's a little bit the same target. And if the answer about those, the answer is yes. Cougar are really, really similar about the Langs gold zone. So really something as a quartz vein, very high grade quartz vein at the contact from the rhyolite and sediment. So we are pretty sure there's another dome there. And this one, the Jaguar, it's a bit more special. We have seen not the same, it's so far. And if we look at the previous work done in 2008, the work done there show a little bit more potassic alteration with a lot more pyritic zone. So like square of pyritic mineralization and a lot more stock work. So a little bit lower grade, but more continuity in the Jaguar than the Lang zone, where we have the high grade vein within, almost nothing host rock between. So that will be different. And we are now getting the assays from it with the map. So we should be able to release good news pretty soon on those Jaguar and Cougar zone.
Thank you, Marcel.
Yeah.
Another question, you talked about the MET test. Could you elaborate a little bit more in terms of the program? So we drilled 8 larger drill cores, and we've sent out the core for testing, and we're doing some bulk sampling as well to send that out. So give a little bit more, I guess, content in there, and then what do you think the potential is for metallurgical recovery?
For the potential, for sure, we would like to have as much as possible gold recovery. This is the goal of it. And, we did early stage tests back in 2021, and we got some assays back during 2022, which are pretty good. So that's the reason why, we want to get a bigger test itself. So basically, the plan is we drill 8 HQ core holes, which are bigger, and some are drilled in really close vicinity of the vein. So to be really clear here, the MET test is not to get the grade of the veins. It's not. So we're going to get a better idea because we have the sample of the grade of the vein. But what we really need and what the objective is of the MET test is to see how to recover the gold from it. So what, there is any bad minerals that we don't want, there is bad stuff in it, or what is the upside potential and what would be the recovery. So this is really to give us a recipe or the flow sheet to how recover the gold from the system. That will be the first step or the first phase before getting a bigger bulk sample. So also we have taken about 10 veins right at surface. So that will be released once we're going to know the size of everything. We're still working on collecting the sample. So basically what we want, 8 HQ core and as much grab channel and, chip sample of each vein, trying to get as much material as possible and probably 18 to 20 sample all blend together and then come up with the best recipe or recovery in this. So then we'll know if it's so great recovery, we will know what might be a cutoff grade or on anything else on the mining side going forward into a development.
I think what's important to mention as well, Marcel, and I think a lot of our listeners here know, is we're in a great situation where most of our gold is free in the veins that we've seen so far. There's not a lot of refractory material there. So we believe that the recovery is going to be quite high, as you said, because we're not stuck with having the gold associated with any arsenopyrites or any such elements. So, we're hoping, and I think fingers crossed, that we'll get very good numbers. Continuing on with the potential for a bulk sampling. You did mention it before that we'll do some bulk sampling I think next year, probably in the spring. I think it's important to highlight what is, again, the goal of that bulk sampling.
Yes. So as I said, the first step is to get a met test to know the flow sheet, to know how to recover the gold. And then if we're talking about a bulk sample, I'm talking about a bulk sample here is to get, trying to get a more, a representative sample of what would be kind of an open pit if it's turned to be open pit. As we speak, it's only 10,000 meters of drilling. For sure, we know that all the gold so far is found at surface because we have only drilled the surface. So we know from 0 to 100 meters a bit where the gold is, but the bulk is, the goal of the bulk is to get, let's say you do an open pit, let's say that you open up, let's say up to 50 meters, then get probably a sample about like 4,000 ton to 10,000 ton of material right at surface. So for sure, we're going to get some kind of quartz vein here, but also we need to get some material in between. So that will be based mainly on the geostatistic, also the kind of grade that we're going to get. But the reality, a bulk sample should give us a more representative value of what could be the grade. So every time we go from NQ, we have some information. When we go to HQ, this is a bigger, a little bit more information and a little more representative. Then when we go to get the bulk sample itself, then we're going to get again closer of the real grade of a potential mine. So I don't know, maybe also it's going to help not drill 200,000-300,000 meters of drilling. If we can confirm with a bulk what is the grade, we're going to have a better idea than drill. And it's going to be more representative and a little bit less expensive as well. So a bulk is to give us a better idea what could be the grade of an open pit on site. But as I said, there's only 10,000 meters. So if we keep drilling, and let's say that we hit like 2, 3, 4, 5 meters of 1, 2, 300 grams, then, that's another story. Right now, we work with what we have, which is a very nice gold mineralization at surface.
With regards to our announcement today with the new acquisition of land, do we believe that the Rocky Brook Fault is driving the regional scale distribution of gold?
Yes, that's what we think. And we are now doing some study and we get some expertise from the people that they know well. But so far, I think that the Rocky Brook, if you look the entire gold deposit or gold showing along, that for sure it's played a role. So the reason it's totally strategic, because let's say that it is, then we have all the free ground done. And if it's not, it's a minimum investment to secure as much as possible ground. And we don't want anybody else than Puma playing in that area. So, basically we believe if it's not too bad neither.
Thank you, Marcel. Yeah. In areas where we have in the Lynx Gold Zone, getting back to Lynx, where we haven't drilled because there was quite a bit of overburden. The question is, how deep is the overburden?
Oh, it's just, you see it pretty well on the picture. You have, this is the real zone that we have stripped. So this is in that area. So it's about only probably a few meters more, maybe 1 meter more. But the thing is, when you're heading up here, it's getting deeper and deeper. So we have about 2 meters here. So you see the size of the guy there. So it's not too deep. We're not talking about 30 or 20, 30, 40 meters. We're talking about maybe 1 meter more, but just that meters, that's a lot of gravel to remove. So we believe at the time that, we could drill everywhere without strip. And we, it's funny, when I tried to find out the drill map here, and here, if you look here, you see that area, we had only a little bit of surface grab sample because that place will not be able to strip. And when we look, we have a lot less success in drilling as well. So having the real vein on site, you can see here, sometimes they are parallel, or if they go this way, so you could miss. So having not access to the real rock at surface, then it's a little bit harder to make sure we hit as we did like in that area.
Excellent. What is another question? What is our cash position and any plan to finance anytime soon?
We still have 1.5 million in the treasury as we speak. So we're pretty well cashed up as the program goes. At the beginning of the year, we have mentioned a $5 million program is going to be done. And probably at the end, we're going to have still $1 million or so in the treasury. So the answer is short term. I would not like to do any private placement or any raise right now at 17, 18 cents. This is for sure. So we don't need, hopefully the news flow will bring us to another level, but for sure, at the end of the day, you know, if we want to do exploration, we're going to need some money, but within the next 2-3 months, the answer is no.
Going back to Jaguar, another question. You mentioned pyrite at Jaguar. Could the company use ground-based IP to help get a better idea of the scale of Jaguar?
That IP, as I mentioned, maybe shortly, the area of Jaguar has been worked a little bit in 2008 by you know, a local prospector. So what they used to do is a little bit of soil sample. They do a little bit of geophysical survey. So there's an IP there, and this is exactly that IP that is going to be right now stripped and trenched. So the answer is yes, we have it. No, it's not Puma, but we have some great information in hand to use as target tools.
I think probably our last question before we wrap it up. If we were to do an internal kind of back of the envelope resource estimate, do we have any idea what kind of resource we could be dealing with at Lynx?
The answer is yes, and it's going to stay on the back of the envelope.
Absolutely. I think it's still too early days to be able to really venture any kind of guess, but certainly with the information that investors have in terms of looking at what grades we've had so far in terms of our drilling results and looking at what the potential length of that Lynx gold zone is, you can kind of figure it out on your own in terms of what we could potentially have. But again, early days.
Exactly. But just to give an idea, you know, we knew that the zone on 3D is pretty well defined. The only thing that we don't know is down to where it can go. So putting a resource estimate on this, where you can have maybe 4, 5, 6 times more at depth, it's kind of early. But if you're talking here, it's 700 meters long by 75 meters wide, down to 100 meters with a specific gravity of 2.5. So just do the math yourself. The only thing we don't know would be the grade. And the first step, as I said, is the met test to know the flow sheet. Then we're going to proceed with the bulk sample. So that would be the step to define the real resources on site there. And we try to avoid to drill too much, you know, just to drill nugget effect. So that's what we try to avoid doing those steps.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Marcel. Thank you to all of you who attended. You know that you have our details as well on all the news releases. It's easy for you to get a hold of us. Send us any other questions that you may have. We're quite receptive and usually quite prompt in providing you with information. So please do not hesitate. Again, as Marcel mentioned, we have lots of news coming. We did a lot of work this summer. News will be regular and consistent throughout this fall and winter. And there's lots more to happen and to come down with Puma. So keep an eye on the company, keep abreast of what's our new developments, and we look forward to hosting another webinar sometime soon. Thank you all.
I just want to add, Mia, that if you want to get an answer, text or call Mia. So this is the best way to get an answer from the one who knows me. They knows already, but for the one that they don't, just keep in touch with Mia. You're going to have your best answer there. Thank you, Mia, again.
Thank you, everybody.
Merci.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.